All right, everyone, welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be doing a funny cat with a funny attitude. So let's start. So we're going to start with our sketch layer, which is layer 1. We're going to use a soft brush, and we're just going to start to lay out the actual anatomy of the cat. So with cartoons, it's all about the eyes as far as expression. You want to be really expressive with the eyes. With this sketching part, we're just getting out the main anatomy of the cat. Cats have triangle-shaped ears, obviously. We're going to give them bigger eyes. You got the little nose, the mouth. So you just do some lines across. Make sure you've got that nice balance in the face. And you're really just moving around, sketching, getting everything laid out. It's like you're laying out a map that you're going to use because you got to know where you're going. Got the belly, got his arms on the side because he has attitude, like we said. And then we're going to start filling in the details. But this is the basic idea of sketching, is moving around, really being loose with your hand, and getting everything where you want it to be. So that's going to be the first part. Now we're going to go to layer 2, and we're going to go to our inking technical pen, which I like to use for the cartoon work. And this is going to be your line work. So I'm going to start with the eyes, and we're going to start with the eyelids here. And then we're going to do the actual eyes right there. Use thinner lines on the outside of the eyes by using less pressure. It's all about the diversity of the line. Having a thick line to a thin line makes your artwork look more dynamic. And we just do a couple little thin lines below the eyes to show the bottom of the eye. Do some wrinkles on his eyelid. We just do that by lightly using the pen. Then we're going to give him a nose, little cat nose, which is almost like a little triangle. Give the outside of the nose there. Give him a little wrinkle in between the eyes. And then we're going to go to the top and we're going to do his hair. Give him a little hairdo. And we're going to give him the ears. And the ears, like I mentioned earlier, really just triangles. You know, that's really what they are at the end of the day in terms of shape. And then we're going to give the outline of his face. And we come down here to the chin, like that. And if you want to change anything, like for instance here, I just want to make this a little more even. There we go. Sometimes it takes a couple strokes to get it the way you want it. And there we go. Now we're going to go to the mouth. So we've got the kitty cat coming down here, and he's got a smirk on his face because, like we said, he's got a little bit of an attitude. So we got the smile there. We're going to use little dots to indicate where the whiskers are going to be. And now, since we already have the smile, we've got his eyes kind of closed a little bit, like he's totally relaxed. Now we're going to throw some eyebrows in there. The eyebrows are going to make it really give the attitude that we're looking for. So we're going to have one eyebrow that goes down like this, and then we're going to have the other eyebrow that goes up like this. So it gives the impression that he knows something that maybe we don't. And that's usually the case with cats in general, right? Especially you people out there that own the cats, you know that's the case. Now I've just switched over to a white ink as opposed to a black one because we're going to go over the eyebrows with a white ink instead because that makes it stand out, gives it a little bit of a highlight to it. Then we go to the black ink and we're going to show some hair coming out of the ears because cats have that. And then we're going to add some whiskers in, just really lightly doing the lines, whiskers around the mouth, whiskers toward the top of the head. And add a little expressive lines by the eyebrows. And there we go. Then we have our kitty cat face. Now we're going to do the neck, and then we're going to come down to the body. Give him a little bit of belly. We're going to have his hands on his hips because, again, he's given us some attitude. There we go there. We're going to add a little bit of the hair next to his wrists. We're going to do a little bit of shading below his chin. And this is where I'll go back in and I'll just start adding some line work in terms of the shade, just here and there around different features as I'm doing right now. It's not a cross hatching because you're not crossing the lines. You're just doing a little bit of line work that just gives the indication of a little bit of shade. And I'm doing that just in different areas where I feel it's necessary. Right down here in between the elbows. And we're going to give the kitty cat some claws, obviously. All right, so at this point we've done our line work, and now we're going to get rid of our original sketch work. So we go back to layer 1, we go to the erase button, and we're going to get rid of all these lines. So now the drawing is really cleaned up and we can really see everything. This is where I usually go back to layer 2 with the ink pen, and I'll just start to add a little bit of hair on the ends of the different features. You don't have to do all individual hairlines. It would take you forever to do that. Plus, this is a cartoon drawing, so all you have to do is just give the impression of these things, and it really works well. So there we go there. And now we're going to give our kitty cat some color. So we go to the third layer, and we're going to go orange, because my favorite cat growing up was Garfield, and that's why we're going to go orange here. So we're going to add the orange in, and what I like to do here is use a very soft brush for this. The soft brush can be found right here. There's a lot of different versions of it, but I like the soft one. And then you're just going to color the whole figure like this. And it doesn't matter if you stay within the lines now, because you're going to go back and you're going to clean it up later. Now we're going to do some shading. So we're going to take the orange and we're going to drop it down a little bit darker. Here we go. And we're going to go right under the eyebrows to give the impression of shade, because the light's coming from above, and that's how we're going to do that there. Now we're going to go right here. We're going to go below the nose, gives the impression, and a little bit below the mouth. Now we're going to start on the arms down here, give a little bit of shade there, maybe above here under the hair, a little bit there by the ears, and a little bit under the eyes, which is where we want to do that, and a little bit near the nose. So now at this point, I'll go back in and I will add a little bit more to the color. I'll drop it down even further. So we're going to bring it there, right below the eyebrows. And what you're doing here by adding a darker color to the shading, where the shading already is you're giving some depth to the shading. So in other words, if you're shading like this, you make it a little bit darker, and you just give a little bit of diversity to that, you know, from the going from left to right, the gradation of the color. So that's what I mean by that. Now we're going to go and give this kitty cat a white face and belly. So we're going to do the white brush, and we're just going to lightly start going in here next to the nose, next to the chin, just like that, very lightly. Go down the neck, go under the belly, just like that. And it's really, you're just doing a little circular motion. You're keeping your strokes really light. And now we're going to go to the white. We're going to drop it down a little bit so it's a little bit gray. And we're going to give that a little shading. So here's the gray coming up on the stomach. Here's the gray right below the nose and right below the chin and the mouth. So we give that little impression there. And now we want to do the nose. So we've got our pink. We're going to use our brush. And we go right back in here. And we just start coloring in like you were when you were a kid. Or an adult if you still color in color books, which is totally fine. So just add a little bit of shading. And then we're going to add some white on the top of his nose. Just like that. Gives the impression of the light hitting it. Then we're going to go into the kitty cat's eyes, and we're going to color this white. It really gives it a nice standout when you have the orange against the white. And then we're going to go to his eyes. So I'm going to use a nice bright yellow so it stands out. We're going to color this in like that. And then we're going to go to the actual white on the orange, which is going to show the light reflecting off the kitty cat. So we're going to go to the top of the ears, and we're going to start to bring a little line down, just with a little bit of pressure, showing the light hitting the top of the cat. And we're going to do that a little bit on top of the hair. And then we're going to go to the eyelids, where the light is hitting here, just ever so slightly. We're going to go in between the eyes, right above the eyes, maybe on the cheek here a little bit. Then we're going to go down along the arms of the kitty cat and just do the same thing we did on the top of the ears, just a little line on the top that indicates where the light is hitting. And then we're going to go back up to the eyelids and do a little bit along the side of the eyelids to really make it stand out when you see the light hitting the eyelids. And that's what we have there. Then I'm going to color in the rest of the kitty cat's paws and his claws right here, and that makes them stand out even more from the orange. And we're just going to fill this in again like you're coloring a figure in a coloring book. You want to stay within the lines. And there we go there. Now we're going to go up to the ears, and we are going to use the pink that we used on the nose. We're going to use our soft brush, and we're going to go inside the ears. And this is going to create a nice color contrast between the orange and between the pink of the ears. Now we're also going to do some shading here. So again, we're going to drop down with our brush. We're going to drop down on the color to a little bit darker. So again, you've got that inner ear shading, which is making its way out from the cat's ears out to the end. Then we're going to take a little bit of white and we're going to go to the outside of the ear, right like that, to give the impression of light. The same thing on the other side. Now it's all about cleanup. So we're going to go with our eraser brush and we are going to get rid of all the color outside the lines. And this is where when you start erasing, you really start to see the work round its way into shape. So you just start erasing, moving your way around. It's almost like when you're sculpting, and you start to pull away all the pieces that you don't need anymore, and it really starts to emerge what you've done. Now in my drawings, I really like to use bold outer lines. You can do some really good drawings with thinner outer lines. It just depends on the style that you're doing, but I feel for cartoon work like this, I really like having that nice, bold, dark line on the outline of the figure, and then use some thinner lines for the in work. For example, with the eyes, below the eyes, that's a little thinner. The eyelids themselves are a little thicker with thin lines for the wrinkles. So there's a lot of diversity of line you can use to really make your work stand out. But for me, that's what I like to use. All right, so we check everything. This is the point in the drawing where you look it over, you see if you want to add everything. Sometimes I'll go back in with my ink, change that to black, go to my second layer, and I might just add a little shading over here, maybe something on the edge of the eyes, maybe little lines here. This is where I just go back in and kind of just add things here or there if I feel it's necessary. This is kind of my favorite part, is doing this, is looking it over. But always to keep things loose. That's really the key to just expressive drawing in general. Well, there's our kitty cat. So at this point, just give it a little signature down the bottom, and we're done. This is our funny cat with a funny attitude, as you can see by the smirk and the eyebrows and the expressive eyes, and that's our drawing for today.